Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. I want to talk about having a good attitude in business leading to success. First thing is you should go easy on yourself and make progress. You can make progress and not stress yourself out. You should try to make progress every day towards a goal that you have. You should write your goals first thing in the morning when you wake up in a spiral notebook like this. Costs less than $1. And keep those over time and you can see the progress. You can write stuff in a goal and a couple years later you can look at the notebooks from 2 years ago. As long as you follow this process, you will look at these and you'll be amazed that you thought about something and you actually pulled it off. You need to go easy on yourself, but make progress every day towards a goal. It doesn't have to be 10 goals, it can be one goal. Impatience, if you're in a hurry, impatience can be a disaster. It can lead to quitting. There's a famous motivational coach who has said, I do not take advice from quitters, which is a very good, it's a very good thing to do. Do not take advice from people around you who have quit, who have given up. And there could be people in your family or your circle of friends who may have stumbled and they gave in to setbacks. So, what I do when I feel down and I have a setback, I say, I don't give an F. I don't care. I just keep going. I don't care how I feel. Sucks in the moment. Keep going. So you can't take advice from quitters. Quitters felt bad one day or maybe felt bad for a month and they quit. You can't quit. You just have to make a little bit of progress every day. And you can go easy on yourself and say, I'm going to take some time off, take a few days off, maybe not make daily progress, but then come back to it. Give yourself a breather. So how to pace yourself. First thing you can do is to become aware of how quickly some entrepreneurs found success. There aren't too many who found quick success. There are exceptions. There are people like Mark Zuckerberg, who started Facebook in his college dorm, but he had been writing software for a very long time. Up to that point, he did not pick up software engineering in college. He came to college knowing how to write code. He already had a lot of years behind him. Elon Musk bought into Tesla in 2004 for millions. He spent millions. He sold PayPal. He was one of the founders of PayPal. He had been writing code for a long time too, before PayPal became a success, and it almost didn't make it. They sold PayPal. He bought into Tesla in 2004. It took him 4 years before he even had a product to sell, the first car, the Roadster. The Tesla Roadster was actually a Lotus Elise. Lotus is a car company in England. Lotus is famous for Formula One racing originally. They were very successful in Formula One racing. Lotus is still around today. They continued to make the Lotus Elise through 2021. So the Roadster, the Tesla Roadster, was not even an original car. It was a car, because Lotus has a consulting part of their business where they consult for other car manufacturers. Lotus sold the Elise and Tesla retrofitted it to use electric motors and battery. And it still took 4 years before he got to that point where he had something to sell. So imagine spending millions of dollars and having to wait 4 years. You can't be in a hurry. It doesn't matter if you spend a lot of money. You have to be patient. And you can take it easy on yourself. There were times over those 4 years, I'm sure he thought, what the heck am I doing with this? We still don't have a product, right? So, so how to pace yourself? How quickly do some people become successful? There are some rare people who find very quick success early, but it's just as likely as growing up in a family of athletes and you turn out to be 7'4" tall. You're going to play in the NBA, right? There aren't too many people like that. It's a bell-shaped curve. The vast majority of people who reach for success get success. Most people who want success get it. And if you think about it, if you were going through life and you did not want success or you didn't think about it, and suddenly you found yourself very successful, you'd be surprised. Why? Because, I wasn't thinking about being successful. I never prioritized building wealth. And then one day I woke up and I was worth $10 million. It doesn't happen. The vast majority of people are in here in the middle of the bell-shaped curve. They're not in the top 5%. They're not in the bottom 10%. So you have to, again, go easy on yourself. Be patient with yourself. As long as you have an objective, if you write your goal down, goal or goals, first thing in the morning, and the key is this attitude, a great business attitude is, I can do a little bit better daily. It doesn't have to be a lot better, just a little better. When I wake up every day, that's one of the first things I think about is I've got to figure out something I can do today to improve a little bit. And sometimes it means just looking online for something related to a business I'm involved in and reading an article about something that's new. It can be that small of an improvement, just staying on top of the changes in your industry. So if you can do a little bit better daily, you then stack, you build on your past incremental progress. You just keep stacking progress on top of itself. You should try to find sources, role models who have already achieved success, hopefully or preferably in an area you want to go into. Reading success stories or reading the story of a successful person, even if they're not in your industry, can give you a lot of ideas, a lot of tips on how to make progress. If you can find somebody in person who's achieved a lot of success and learn from them, that's good. You don't have to. You can read from successful people who have published, they published their story. And some of the best reading I've done is from successful people describing the time, effort, and the learning they had to do to get to a bigger level of success. Because it makes it real when you discover some of the crap that people had to go through to get a huge level of success. I was reading about the founder of Clear Channel Communications today, which became iHeartMedia. The founder of Clear Channel Communications did not intend to become a successful communications executive. He was an investment banker who bought into one of those, and then he figured out how to grow it, and it became successful for him because he pursued it. And if you look into the background of that story, it was a very humble beginning that he just kept working at. So reading these stories from successful people and learning about the time, the effort, and all the learning they had to do to change themselves to get to a bigger level of success, it's really helpful because it makes it human. It makes it more human. It's not like this was like a person who just, bam, one day they were hugely successful. It tells you what you can do to model what they did, to copy what they did. And one thing to keep in mind is quitters do not write success stories. They quit. There are quitters out there. They get discouraged and they just give up. It's one thing to change your mind about how you're approaching something. If your goal is to make progress in a certain type of business or an industry, and you have to change because, for example, transportation has been changing over time. So you have to be aware of the changes in the industry, but as long as you don't quit and you adjust your approach, but quitters don't write success stories. So when you try to find role models and successes, you will end up not finding, you won't find any stories written by quitters because they gave up. So the key thing is to this great attitude for business is incremental progress. Spiral notebook, write your goals first thing in the morning. This costs $1. This thing is worth millions of dollars over time. You write your goal. You do it every day because it reminds you of what you want. If you don't write it down every day, you'll forget and you'll start drifting. Drifting is almost the same as quitting. Drifting means you sort of relax too much. I mean, it's one thing to go easy on yourself. It's something else to forget about what you were after and start drifting. Drifting is halfway to quitting. You don't want to drift. You don't want to quit. So write down your goal first thing in the morning every day. So daily incremental progress, sometimes, like I said, it's a small amount of progress, and that's okay. You have to be reasonable with yourself. If all you feel like doing is a small amount of progress, that's fine, because you're making progress. You're sticking to your philosophy. I'm just going to keep trying. Denzel Washington has a lot of good things to say about this, about commitment, staying disciplined. Sometimes a small amount of success is fine. Read an article. Sometimes you will have a big step, a big progress in a single day, like landing a big customer or a sale. That can happen. But as long as you're moving forward and you're able to stack and build on your past incremental progress, because the whole key to achieving a big success is to keep after it and make daily incremental progress. So one of the things that people don't really realize, they don't really think about it too much, is you actually already know how to do this incremental progress philosophy. You already know how to do this because that's what the first 12 years of school is. It's incremental progress. If you think back to that first day when you showed up in first grade not knowing how to read and write, some people do. Some people learn that in nursery school or kindergarten. Sometimes their parents will help them, but a lot of kids show up at age 6 in first grade, first day of first grade, not knowing how to read, not knowing how to write. If you think back to that all the way through the 12 years of school, you already know how to make incremental progress and to be patient. 12 years is a long freaking time. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of incremental progress stacked on top of past successes. You know, some setbacks along the way. Obviously, you don't always get what you want, but 12 years of school, and then for some people, trade school, more incremental daily progress. For some people, college, more incremental daily progress. You really stack up your incremental progress as you go along the way. So I didn't have room for everything. I wanted to mention that it's best to have a game plan to attain success. So having the philosophy, having an attitude of incremental progress is the big picture. Applying it, you can do a couple things. One is you can make a list of industries that you might be interested in. For example, I made up a list. So these are some of the industries I'm interested in: health and medical, transportation, the food industry, government and military contracting, wine and liquor, energy, appliances, pets. So, and just to give you an idea of what you can do after you make a list of industries you're looking in, is try to find companies who are in those industries that have had a long lifespan, because that tells you what areas of those industries are reliable ways to build wealth. For example, Johnson & Johnson in the health and medical industry is 139 years old. It was started in 1886. So that's a really good clue that if you're interested in that particular industry, there's already a success story you can learn from. In transportation, I've got a relative who's a pilot. He's a flyer, and he started an aircraft parts company. It's very related to what he does, what his passion is. That's another approach. If you know something very well, you can start a business in a related area. I mean, being a pilot and having a company that sells aircraft parts, they're very closely related. In the food industry, I have relatives who are in that business too. And for some of my relatives, it's been more than one generation of success, sticking with that industry. And by the way, health and medical, that's a need. It's not a want. It's the difference between needs and wants is immense. There's a big difference. In an economic downturn, something that is a want and not a need, the number of sales drops in a down economy. For needs, for health and medical, that gets bought even in a down economy. The same is true with transportation. The same is true with food. So government military contracting is another industry. I have relatives who are involved in that, bidding for government contracts. And that's challenging, but I've got family members who have found success doing that. Liquor and wine is one of the most rock-solid businesses on the planet. It has been for thousands of years. It will be for the next 10, 20,000 years. Liquor and wine, a lot of different things you can do there. Jack Daniels, for example, Jack Daniels is 150 years old. 150 years old, Jack Daniels, bourbon, whiskey, and so on, founded in 1875. The energy industry, General Electric is a company you can do some reading on. How did they find success? What did they do to be successful for 132 years? It was founded in 1892, General Electric. Pets, pet products. We all love pets. Purina, we've all heard of Purina. Purina is 132 years old. It was started in 1893. Pets is a very rock-solid industry. Microsoft, very recent. People think it's very, very recent. If you think of cutting-edge technology, right now Microsoft is developing AI. They're making a lot of progress with AI, cloud computing, a lot of different areas. Microsoft has been at the forefront of technology for decades. Microsoft is 50 years old, and they're still out in front in technology. Let's see here. So these companies are needs and not wants. I bring this up from time to time about the difference between spending your time trying to make a success in a wants type of business versus a needs. I have done wants businesses. You know, when the economy goes soft, which happens because there's a business cycle. A business cycle is every 6 to 10 years, the economy goes up and then it falls back. There's a recession or something close to a recession. If you're involved in a needs type of business, you're going to survive. A wants business, maybe not. McDonald's in the food industry is 85 years old. It was founded in 1940. McDonald's is almost 100 years old. It's 85 years old. Food is a need. So just some ideas. A game plan, if you're trying to implement this, you're trying to figure out, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I know how to approach things. It's basically to make incremental progress daily and to write your goal first thing in the morning to keep yourself on track and not drift. And then make a list of industries. You don't have to do it in one setting. You can say, over the next 3 days, every time I think of an industry, I'm going to write it down. Then after you have your list of industries, find companies in those industries that have lasted a long time, and then read about those, not all of them, the ones that interest you, the industries you're interested in. Read the success stories of how they started and how they managed to stay successful, to get ideas on how to apply this. But the bottom line is, for a great business attitude to attain success, you don't quit and don't be impatient. Impatience can be disastrous. And the thing is, if you look at somebody you think is an overnight success, usually they've got years of effort before they got there. Like I said, Mark Zuckerberg had been writing code for a long time before he started Facebook. So if you have any questions about this, you can post in the comments. I'll try to answer those questions. But I really want to thank everyone for watching, and have a great day.